Halo, a franchise with great greats and bad downs, and some mediocre mids. A franchise bursting with continuous potential. Sadly, lots of the projects not pertaining to the games have not been the best. Yes, I'm looking at you. If I could come home and beat you like an abusive dad after a long day at work, I'm telling you, I'd come home. The best thing that we've got was Halo Legends back in 2010 and the absolute beauty of Red vs. Blue. And this started as a fan project. Tragically, we have not gotten a truly good Halo screen adaptation. Now, even if we haven't gotten the most fantastic video media for this beloved franchise, we have gotten another form of media that has more than delivered on character and world building, great action, and some genuine stakes. Today, we will be talking about the fantastic world of Halo's book novels. I know, no one reads anymore. You totally should though, it's great for your brain and it can teach you a lot. But if you are itching for some more Halo media, or even just good sci-fi, and don't want actual slop that shits on the source material, yes, we're gonna be shitting on the show the entire video. The Halo books are 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000% for you. And I'm gonna tell you why. I haven't read all the books yet. There's around, damn, 5.5 down, 26 to go. But from what I have read, I think there's a pretty good, but from what I have read, I think there's a pretty good idea of these books. But from what I have read, I think I have a pretty good idea of these books and what they provide at this point. Today, we're going to be talking about the original Nylon quadrilogy, that being The Fall of Reach, The Flood, First Strike, Ghosts of Onyx, and a bit of Contact Harvest. So for this segment, I'm going to be breaking these stories down into pretty small summaries. We're going to be talking about the books in order of release, because that's how I roll, starting with The Fall of Reach is a direct prequel to the first game, starting off with the recruitment kidnapping. It's kidnapping. Recruitment of the Spartan 2s and their rigorous training from an incredibly young age. Now, these motherfuckers have never even read the Magic Treehouse yet, so like, they're pretty young. It's like 6. As their training comes to an end, which a lot of the book covers their training, it doesn't just go from kidnapping to recruitment to the end of their training. It's like, it's a lot of the book. Anyway, as their training comes to an end, the Covenant emerge and Spartans face their hardest challenge yet. For the next 20 years, the Spartans face the tide of the Covenant until they're given the task of assassinating the Covenant leadership, and right when they're about to leave the parking lot, they're literally about to head into slip space, the Covenant pull up, and they're standing on business. And the Spartans are tasked to defend Reach, all except John, the Master Chief, and 2 other Spartans, which they have another separate objective. And this leads to the Fall of Reach.
Oh my god, bro.
Huh?
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck?
And John escapes on the Pillar of Autumn into the slipstream. When they emerge from slip space and round the orbiting moon, the first Halo ring comes into view. The Fall of Reach is a great way to immerse yourself in why the Spartans are the way they are, and the rigorous training that they were put through during their, well, training. And this all leads up to a climactic battle that affects the story of Halo and humanity on a massive, massive scale. There's a lot I left out, but it's coming in the spoiler section. Don't worry. The next book in the series is The Flood, which is a novelization of the first game. It's not just that. I mean, it kind of is, but kind of not. If you don't know the story of the first game, why are you watching a video on the books? Please don't click away. I need the views. Desperately. I guess I could give you a caveman explanation of the story. Halo for dummies, if you will. And we'll get started with that. Crash on alien ring. Find ring control. Try save captain. You bug. You bug, but find key. Key no good, run away. Key do bad. Find captain again. Oh. Oh no. Blow up, you bug, and ring. Goodbye. Yes, you still should read this book. Even if you are like me and have played the first game 67,000 times and you think you know absolutely everything there is to know about it.
Objection!
This book adds a lot of character to the events of the game, and it gives a lot of insight into how John feels throughout the events of the game. And it really does add a lot to what happens to Captain Keyes. Now we'll touch more on that in the spoiler section, but it really like deepens that part of the book. Okay, now it's time for Halo First Strike. First Strike is a direct sequel to Halo 1 and follows the events of how some of the surviving Spartans on Reach find Dr. Halsey and discover some of the secrets buried deep within the planet of Reach, and of the Master Chief commandeering a Covenant ship with the help of Sergeant Johnson and escaping the Covenant fleet surrounding the destroyed ring. After escaping said fleet, they eventually reunite with the aforementioned Spartans, and after rescuing the Spartans on Reach, they plan a first strike. Now, how about that one? So they plan this first strike against the Covenant, and it's really designed to put a big crutch on their fleet. That's all I'll say. First strike is really fast paced, like in a good way. There's a lot of fantastic action and setup in this book, and it has some moments where you just sit there like, damn, that was some of the coolest shit I've ever read. And overall, it has a lot of payoff in figuring out what happens between the first and second game.
Could we possibly make any more noise? I guess so.
And the last book in the quadrilogy is Halo Ghosts of Onyx. This book follows Spartan 53, otherwise known as Kurt, on planet Onyx. The events of the book track his efforts to lead the Spartan 3 program and the problems that come with the new program. This has a massive wrench thrown into it again when the planet essentially wakes up and thousands of Sentinels and Forerunner robots begin forcibly defending the planet. The Covenant also converge on the planet, and the Spartans have to fight a battle on two fronts and discover the secrets of the planet itself. Read Ghosts of Onyx. There's a surprising amount of emotional weight that comes with this story, and has quite a few things that stuck with me after finishing it. Kurt, you are my goat.
Oh, I know what the ladies like.
The last book we're going to talk about is Contact Harvest. I know earlier in the video I said I hadn't finished it.
I lied.
Contact Harvest is about Sergeant Avery Johnson basically pulling himself from the gutter of a very bad mission gone wrong, to him leading a small planetary militia against the first contact at Harvest. That one was pretty good, right? Anyway, the first contact against the Covenant. This book goes over how the war started, how, basically underprepared everybody was. Again, a book that leans pretty heavily on character development. I definitely recommend it because after playing the games, you really wouldn't guess that the Johnson at the start of the book is the same one in the games. He has a lot of great story building. It is also pretty crazy to see how the entire conflict started in the first place. Prophet of Truth, you a bitch. With that being said, I know those were basically summaries off the back of a book, but I told you guys spoilers don't come till later, so don't be too surprised. All of these books are fantastic reads or even listens. I listen to all of these on audiobook. Don't come at me with that, oh my god, that's not actually read. Get the fuck out of here with that. I can promise these are worth your time and have a lot of compelling story beats to keep you hooked. A lot of people say skip The Flood. Don't listen to a lot of people. Listen to me. Read The Flood. It's great, and it makes the game much more enjoyable on replays. So now, I send you on your way to read, my minions, and to come back when you're done reading, because I need the watch time. Alrighty then, that is the most I have ever revised a script. The amount of times I reread it and was like, damn, I just said no hardcore spoilers. Or, wow, I'm just explaining what happens in the book. You guys are supposed to read them. It's not me just spitting words onto a video or onto a page that turns into a video. I left a lot out for those who aren't looking for spoilers. So with the lame-os gone, we're hopping off to what gets good, because
Oh, I know what the ladies like.
these books have incredible skill of character building. That's like what we're going to talk about mainly for the rest of the video. We're going to highlight some big standouts like Dr. Halsey, Sergeant Johnson, and of course, my absolute GOAT, Captain Keyes. These books had the task of characterizing characters who only had a few lines in the games. And I mean, Halsey at this point didn't even exist in the games. But damn, do these books do a lot of character building. And we're going to start with Dr. Halsey. She starts these books starting the Spartan program, working to save the entire human race, while also knowing that her entire program was built on kidnapping. See, I told you. And by Operation First Strike and witnessing what her Spartans had gone through and what they were willing to go through, she really sets her sights on saving people, namely her Spartans. But she starts this by even presenting John, the Master Chief, with a deep moral conundrum of offering Sergeant Johnson up for, well, basically getting dissected, for the slim chance of a flood cure. Or she gives him the option to save the man to let him fight another day. Her arc literally ends up with her saving as many of her Spartans as she can by leading them into the middle of planet Onyx, which is a forerunner shield world, where they will be safe from the surrounding conflict. Now, Halsey is a very powerful character in these books whenever she has a very significant portion of book space. That's not the right word, is it? But I couldn't find one. Whenever Halsey appears in the book, she's usually followed by crucial discoveries or information that is going to change the course of the story, and her presence seems to split any room that she's in. Now, thankfully, this next character did not get dissected. Now, speaking of Sergeant Johnson, of course, my GOAT. Every Halo character is my GOAT. Don't judge. In Contact Harvest, the story is a lot about forgiveness and building back his sense of confidence in the soldier he is, and even just being a commander. To see how a guilt-filled, self-doubting soldier at the beginning of the book goes to a ultra Chad, quick-witted, flood-surviving, Giga Chad, absolute GOAT that Sergeant Johnson is. Yes, God. Sergeant Johnson is definitely a character that deserves his own game. For as likable as he is in the games he's appeared in, he's also a lot deeper than they let on. Even just, you know, him trying to interact with these new soldiers he's commanding, to basically, you know, having a fling in the book, which you learn the origin of the Sergeant Johnson mustache. It's awesome. Anyway, Sergeant Johnson is definitely a character that needs to get some more spotlight in the mainstream media of Halo, and it was great to read a full-on story about him. And now that leaves us with Captain Keyes. We need a ship combat game with this dude as the main character. Fall of Reach has a lot of space combat, which is something we really don't see a lot in this franchise, but there's a significant portion of that first book that is dedicated to Captain Keyes building up the morale of his team that has heard nothing and seen nothing but losses throughout the course of this long war. This all changes when Keyes pulls off a maneuver that is so batshit cool that it learns him a maneuver name, fittingly named the Keyes Maneuver, and a promotion. Keyes is then able to prove himself for the leader and ship captain that he is, being assigned to the secret mission to transport the Spartans, capture the Covenant ship, and a Prophet before Reach got... And this leads me to one of the biggest reasons you should pick up some of these books. The Flood offers much more insight into the very long demise of Captain Keyes, and how he fought to the very end of his life after he was infected with the Flood, and it detects that he's a candidate for the Gravemind. Now, the Flood is disgusting. It literally begins ripping away his literal memories in a very drawn-out process. And even though he dies at the end, Keyes fights to the very, very end, literally holding on to his name and his mission as a final tether to life, and he does not give up to this unstoppable force. Now, Keyes' story told through the books got me very invested in the character, and even though I knew what was going to happen, The buildup of his character and the hero he becomes made it all the more tragic to reach that point in the book when he dies. And after saying all that, you wouldn't experience any of this through just the games, like at all. Keys in the game is basically just the captain guy. But after reading the book, he becomes a space combat genius that instills morale throughout the entire UNSC and a captain that fights to the very end. Johnson becomes more than just a funny badass Marine. He becomes a deeply scarred man that pulled himself out of the mud to become one of the greatest soldiers in the UNSC. That is coincidentally a funny badass Marine. And Halsey goes from a cold scientist that is doing the right thing, even if it's bad, to doing the good thing that will save the people she cares about. And this depth of character is a shared theme throughout these books, and they really do have a way of bringing this universe and the characters in it to life. Along with fleshing out of the main characters, there are usually subplots that are dedicated chapters to characters that don't even have names in the game, or that don't even appear at all. The best example I have for this is Private Jenkins, a soldier that is infected with the Flood on the first encounter with the parasite, but due to circumstance, it's not fully able to take over his body, and there are pretty large subchapters specifically dedicated to this experience. It's downright depressing, I'm not gonna lie, but it's very good. And again, all of this really does add to the lore. But we seem to be forgetting the characters that brought us to love Halo in the first place.
Looks like this is the right ship.
We got 3 minutes.
I'm also going to break this down into some specific characters to give you an idea of what I'm talking about. First, we're going to talk about Blue Team itself. Hey, that's not a character. Blue Team consists of some of the more well-known Spartans, usually Fred, Linda, Kelly, and John. Blue Team starts off initially with John pushing past them and not caring for a team effort. To be fair, he was a cocky 6-year-old that was just kidnapped. But after the lesson is learned that that's really not the right way of thinking, Blue Team eventually blossoms into an insanely effective group, and the book describes how elegantly this team performs with one another, becoming so coordinated, it's like they're a singular entity. Sadly, the only real representation of Blue Team we've gotten in the mainstream was in Halo 5. We don't talk about that one. That game really just made the characters into a bit one-dimensional plane here. Fred was just Nathan Fillion. Kelly was fast. They don't really expand on that. And Linda just uses a sniper rifle. That's really it. But the books make something so much more of these characters. Fred is a very tactical, rough and tumble Spartan who makes a great team leader. And whenever he has the slightest hiccup in his missions, he takes it really hard. And he gets kind of emotional about it. Kelly, while being fast, is also a great planner, always willing to put herself forward as a rabbit, or so they call it. She also seems to be a bit more on the emotional end of Spartans, but I don't know, it's a little odd. She kind of reels everybody back in, if that makes sense. And Linda, while being the sniper, is also one of the most calm and collected Spartans, you know, kind of not like deadpan, but we're going off on a tangent here. And without looking into these books, you really wouldn't notice she goes into a cold, locked-in state, for lack of a better term. All of these character building traits are ones that would be completely lost from only experiencing the most popular media that Blue Team has appeared in. And this really is a bummer because these characters deserve to be presented in a way that they are in the book. Blue Team really is a set of characters that needs to get done justice because it's a fantastic dynamic of all of these soldiers just very, very in tune with each other. And again, it's like a small family. I really hope Blue Team is done justice in a game, in a show. I mean, what the fuck? They weren't even in this piece of profit-loving, blood-sucking. I need to calm down. I like Blue Team. That's what I'm trying to say. Next, of course, we're going to be talking about a pretty obscure Spartan you probably haven't heard of. Master Chief Petty Officer John 117. I lied.
I lied.
I lied again.
As I have from the very beginning.
I like lying. In all seriousness, In all seriousness though, and I know I keep saying this, but these books really do build on this already beloved character for quite a few reasons. Starting off, they show how John was really born to be a natural leader and how much he cares about the people under his command, especially the other Spartans. Like I was talking about earlier, John really didn't get the whole team thing at the beginning, but quickly, I mean like very quickly, it's like within a chapter, he is shaped into a coordinated, tactical, and incredibly caring leader. And as much as this shows from how his teams succeed and how they look to him as a beacon, it really shows when there's a loss under his command. He takes it really rough, like he really internalizes things. Like this guy blames himself for the deaths caused by the augmentation that the Spartans went through. He had no control over that at all. But regardless of the internal loss he has, he reminds himself that he has to stay strong for everyone around him. More than once in these books does he realize that his Spartans need him to lead the charge as their leader just as much as they are willing to lead the charge for each other. There's also something else I realized about halfway through the Flood in particular. The Master Chief feels a lot of fear throughout the book. Now, of course he doesn't show it, and from the outside he has as strong as steel. I mean, he quite literally is as strong as steel. And this is what we see when we play the game, but throughout his entire encounter with the Flood and while he's on the Halo ring, he was pretty scared, and he was really damn tired, and he was hitting his breaking point. And even just simple things like him basically being excited to get away from the Flood and having a break from fighting them, to having to stop himself from panicking when he first sees them, and even feeling hesitation when it came to shooting a human Flood form. These things really humanize the character. This kind of behavior is realized throughout all of the books, from John being nervous at his first missions to really giving a shit about his fellow soldiers. I really hope we get an adaptation or a game where we peel back the curtain of John's emotions a bit more to show that even though he's a Spartan, he's a human at his core. He's also pretty funny in the books, which that was cool. It felt great to kind of re-experience this character and recontextualize some of the events of the game. For me, the Master Chief has gone from being this Doomslayer type character facing unfathomable odds without giving up and facing these things despite his possible outcome, to being a Doomslayer character facing unfathomable odds without giving up and facing these things despite his possible outcome, while also being an incredible leader and somewhat of an older brother figure, especially to his fellow Spartans. I mean, he went from being this almost robot to a human that feels fear. You know, they get anxious and angry, and is also someone looking to do the right thing and to save everyone he can in the process. Now, there's one last Spartan I wanted to talk about, because like all the other Spartans, this one is special. But a lot of people don't even know his name. Spartan Kurt 051. Kurt is the main character of Ghosts of Onyx, and his story details his training of the Spartan 3s. Kurt goes from being on a routine Spartan 2 mission, crazy shit naturally, to being literally ripped through space and kidnapped by Oni. Wow, these guys just can't not get kidnapped. He's then given the proposition to train the other Spartans, and this he does accept. Now, I know I've been heavy on the spoilers, but I'm going to skirt around the edges on this one. Kurt is described many times throughout the book as being different by even the other Spartans, by the UNSC, by Oni, and even Dr. Halsey. They describe him as being more human, you know, more personable. He's got a bit more of he's a bit more empathetic, you know. And to keep it light, Kurt goes to the deepest lengths to ensure that his Spartans have the best chance that they can. Some of it is brutal, and some of it is kind of beautiful. There's a specific event in the book where Kurt could have had an edge over the enemy, could have been protected better than everybody else, but he chooses lesser equipment just to ensure that his Spartan 3s know that he is one of them. I won't go into it much more than that because I still want you to experience these books. But that was where the character of Kurt really clicked to me as a great character. And the rest of his arc is simply fantastic. The ending is something you should experience yourself. There's a lot more I could definitely talk about. The world building, deeper development of how things in the world work, combat descriptions. Dude, the ship-to-ship combat in the Nylon books is is peak. The culture of the Covenant, but I think I'm gonna leave it off there. The Halo books have definitely deepened my appreciation for these games, which honestly I didn't think could get any deeper. The characters and stories presented really do cement Halo as an amazing sci-fi franchise, and I really do think that if you enjoy Halo, you're gonna have a great time. If you love sci-fi, you're gonna have a great time. And I know some of you haven't read a book in years. Getting into PSA territory here. And if you haven't had the chance to read or listen to a book in a long time, these are incredibly entertaining and easygoing reads. Well, we're at the end of the video. I know this was a bit of a departure from my regular content, but I have been trying a lot of new stuff. And don't worry, I haven't forgotten about my original content. We're working on something pretty cool as we speak. I don't know why we said working. I'm the only person that runs this channel. If you did enjoy this, I'd love to hear about it more in the comments. And if you really enjoyed it, a like or a subscribe is incredibly appreciated. If there's any books, maybe even deeper coverage of the Halo books or a book I've talked about today in particular, I'd be happy to talk about it. Again, I really do appreciate all of you guys watching, and I'm really happy to be making more scheduled content and more regular content. I don't know if you guys have seen my Subnautica playthrough videos. I'm very new to the playthrough thing, so but we're getting there. I think the third video was pretty decent. And with that, I just want to say thank you again. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have an incredible day. Things go great wherever and whenever you are. And one more thing, Spartans never die.